my show. Joining me today is Jonita D'Souza, a feminine essence coach, and today we are talking about exploring femininity. Jonita, what do we mean by femininity? What does it mean? What does it represent?
Yes, so there is a very weird association with the word feminine itself. Like when you Google a woman, what is a feminine woman? You see very sexual associations with it. And that gives kind of an impression that being feminine is about wearing short dress, probably high heels, makeup, nails. That's it, the outer beauty of a woman, which is a part of feminine, and that is a part of feminine essence. But what we miss around is that doesn't complete us as a woman.
Okay.
What if we take this away from ourselves? What if?
What do you mean, the way we look?
Yeah, what if this everything external is taken away? What are we left with? While working with many women, I've realized that a lot of women feel really insecure about it when these external influences are taken away from them. And femininity is more about discovering both your external as well as your internal beauty.
Right, okay.
It's also about giving importance to different moments and different priorities in your life, like making it more fulfilling for yourself, more nurturing for yourself, including things like creativity, fun, pleasure, passion to your lifestyle as well, which completes you as a human being, as a soul, as a person, just not living life by default, but making more sense of life. It's also about resting and allowing yourself to rest well. We live in a very exhaustive world, and it is so exhaustive.
Sure.
We all know the busyness of our lives. We always like to say busy is the trend, is the new trend. And when we meet in the social circle, sometimes it becomes about who is more busier and who is more stressed and who is more worried. And this is the talk that we have, and this is the social circle that I had, which exhausted me completely.
Yeah. And do you think that the reason why we associate femininity with the way we look rather than who we are is due to media, social media and whatever else, what we see on television?
Yeah.
Do you think people now expect other people to look pretty and whatnot? Do you think that's the norm?
That's what the perception has been, and we as women has been always under constant pressure of just looking good. But on the other hand, I'm sure you must have noticed many other women who, I don't want to say it this way, who do not look as pretty or not very good looking, beautiful or whatever.
Sure. And
they are sometimes much more attractive to other people. They have this kind of personality, this charm in them. So, and you always wonder, I'm prettier than that woman, and why is she more attracting attention than me? A lot of people live in this insecurity of looking good. But when you start to do the inner work and exploring your feminine side from the deeper place inside of you, then you start to become that person who is able to magnetize attention and also whatever you want in your life. Femininity is also about having soothing environment, that more time for pleasure in your life, which as busy women we have kept it for Sundays, and sometimes that Sunday never comes. That bath that we want to take 2 months ago has never happened yet. So femininity is more about slowing down. The one example between masculine and feminine I can say is like masculine is more about doing and getting things done, and this is what we as women have been doing right now these days, that we are in constant competition to get more attention, to look good, for career, for men, money. And although many of us women have that, and we still don't find it fulfilling in some of the other ways, we're still not happy entirely.
How do we become more feminine?
Exactly. So it's all about becoming more aware of what's going on in your life right now. What's your current situation? So asking certain questions to yourself and really answering it honestly as well. So the first question to ask yourself is, are you really satisfied or fulfilled on a daily basis in your life? And if the answer is yes, great, congratulations. It's always nice to see happy people around. But if it's a no or a maybe, then probably it's time for you to think why and make some conscious decisions to change your lifestyle. this is something that we need to stop and think, because a lot of us are trying to always ignore what's going on, and sometimes the personal development industry kind of portrays an image that you should be thinking positive only, and that kind of makes us feel that, okay, let's not think of negativity right now, but if we don't deal with those emotions, they're gonna always be a nightmare for us every now and then. So really being honest with yourself, if you're really satisfied in your life. And the next thing that I would like to really ask is, what's your relationship with pleasure in life?
Now, when you say pleasure, what do we mean by pleasure? Because there's so many meanings.
Yeah, again, there is also a very sexual connotation with pleasure. But, we require 3 different types of pleasure, which is physical, obviously, and we very well know, some of us very well know how to go through it. But it's not only about physical pleasure, we also require emotional pleasure. We also require mental pleasure. And these are the things that usually in our busy lives we forget to focus on. And
what kind of emotional pleasure are we talking about? How do we really define that?
It is a very extensive topic to discuss, but to be brief, emotional pleasure is becoming more aware of your feelings and allowing yourself to fully feel what you feel, whether it's a good feeling or a bad feeling, and to be really in charge of yourself emotionally. Emotional pleasure is more about how to learn to deal with your feelings and emotions, and also intuition. Are you making decisions of your everyday life based on your gut feeling? Because all of us have, but many of us ignore.
Sure.
And by mental pleasure is the self-talk that we have about ourselves. How do we treat ourselves in our head, in our thinking, in our brain?
That's a really good point, actually.
And it also adds to the element of self-worth, self-love. A lot of people actually don't see the value of having pleasure in their lives. So this is something that you really need to check in with yourself. A lot of people have this unconscious programming that life is supposed to be hard work, or people who have too much fun are lazy. So this is also something that you need to find out for yourself, that what is your relationship with the word pleasure? How do you feel about it? And once you define these 3 questions, I think you are more aware of stepping into the changes that you want to make. The third question that you can ask yourself is, are you overgiving in your life? And by default, we as women, we really like to overgive. We overgive and we overcommit to our work, our relationship, our families, friends. And this is a good thing in a way, and it happens to us by default, but there has to be a balance between giving and receiving, and this is one of the cases that we as women burnt out really quickly. And so we need to really learn how to say no elegantly and with love, not being a bossy, ignorant person, but really learning how to stand up for ourselves. And one of my favorite authors, Cheryl Richardson, said that in order to be really true to yourself, you should be ready and willing to disappoint one person every day.
I like that.
And I was shocked. I was really shocked. And I was like, oh, that means that I'm going to be taken as a mean person every single day. And I always like to join the saying no bit to saying yes bit. And also, that's the moment for you to think what you can say yes to in your life. Where can you create space in your life for more pleasure, what pleasure means to you by doing things that you like. And I always advise my clients to schedule 15 to 20 minutes every single day. This is the pleasure time for you. Do the things that you like, you want. Just be yourself, fully with you, for yourself.
Okay, and those could be little tiny things.
Little tiny things that you've been postponing, and the little tiny things that bring you happiness. It could be even, watching an episode of Sex and the City. It works for me.
Fair enough.
It could be, going out to the park. It could be just taking some time out and listening to your favorite music. Just something that fuels you as a woman, that uplifts your mood. Because if we don't have time for this, then we must be thinking that is our life really worth living if we don't have time to enjoy it?
Right.
Yeah. Another thing that we can implement in our everyday life is finding ourselves a non-business hobby.
Okay.
I would like to mention the word non-business hobby because you know, as women we want to achieve, and there's this whole boom of women entrepreneurs, which is so lovingly welcomed, and I would love every single woman to be an entrepreneur, to be honest, because it's a whole new development, growth and challenge in itself. But that all drains you in one area of your life. Finding a non-business hobby, like for example, for me it was taking burlesque dance class, which was really out of my comfort zone, but I just went for it. I discovered a new me, and I really look forward to that one day of 1 hour a week that just switches me off from my entire routine. You know what I mean? So really find a non-business hobby for yourself, a creative, again, that's an aspect of femininity. Find yourself a creative hobby.
Cool. Thank you so much for your advice and for joining us today.
You're welcome, it was a pleasure.
That's it for today. If you want to be a guest on my show, go to my website www.themariannashow.com for more information. Did you like this video? If so, subscribe and share it with your friends. Until next time, be great. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.